make it back, they might kill me. But I really cannot just sit down and let people die. So so my family was like, don't do that. Why do you always have to be the person to go sacrifice yourself? I said, you don't understand. I just can't sit down anymore. So when I came to this, I was angry, I was bold, I was ready to die, and I really didn't care what happened. So that is why when I stepped in front of the mic that day, I like went off. I went like wild, crazy, like kind of off, because I was not afraid to die. You see, the Bible says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, because we love not our lives unto death. So I'm thankful that God, in His infinite mercy, used my voice to just break the dam all over the whole world and just show people that, I don't know what happened, but I know that it was God's mercy to give us a little respite so that we can come out from the craziness that was happening to take over the whole world. So yeah, of course they tried to shut me down, but like I always said, CNN didn't give me my voice, so you can't take it away. I'm still here talking.
Amen.
At that time, an 8% obviously was a voice in the wilderness, so thank you for that. Really appreciate your prayer there. Mayra, so you handle litigation. You're an attorney.
I do.
For immigration, correct?
For legal.
Right. We don't have an immigration problem in this country, right?
No, we don't. We have a crisis.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Anyway, talk a little bit about what you do.
The problem has a solution. A crisis is being created. And many people have said to me, how can you be a solution if you're an immigration attorney? I said, because I'm not a coyote. I am an officer of the court. And for that, I have to help people navigate the immigration system. When they say the immigration system is broken, it's a lie. It's being broken by the people who break the law, because I've been working and applying those laws for over 2 decades. I started when I was 2. and I've been making people citizens from more than 47 countries, but those people, some of them had already come legally, and some of them were here. I found them here. I came here back in 1990. And I was an attorney in the Dominican Republic, and then I became an attorney in the United States. I started doing immigration because as you go and somebody said, can you help me with this? You go, well, let me see how to do it. Eventually, you develop an expertise because you're helping too many people. So, I opened up my own firm, and we've been helping people since. What happened with immigration is this. We have people who have not been elected. They don't have any clue what immigration is, but they are creating policies. We have Congress women creating 400 pages of paperwork for some immigration amnesty. The problem with amnesty, it was an experiment. They thought, well, we're going to do it, and then, we resolve the problem with this group. But then 2 decades later, we have tripled that, and right now we have somebody who have made that, he became the coyote in chief, that he's made this like the immigration destination, illegal immigration destination of the world. The problem with that is that the people who come to break the law, they don't need an immigration attorney for what? If they already, the administration is telling them, here is a car, here is a paper, come back whenever. It doesn't matter, we're not gonna go look for you. They want an attorney for free. Because if everything is given for free, they don't want to come here the legal way. So what happened is this. We know the cliches that we are all immigrants. No, we are not all immigrants. Breaking the law doesn't make you an immigrant. Trying to fix your status, and not everybody have to come to the United States because, this is not the dome of the whole world. Coming here legally gets you to places and gives you that sense of, I want to protect this. Otherwise, we are just placed with no boundaries, and there will be nobody to respect, and nobody's going to respect you. Coming to this country, I came to this country legally. I waited years for my parents to do the paperwork. And becoming an American citizen is something that you have to embrace. Let's have one flag. Let's no be waving all kinds of flags. Let's have one, because that one is going to unite us all.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good.
My business of communications, where I've been doing comms for different candidates for about 25 years, people always say steal from the best. I'm taking that coyote in chief and I'm going to use that all over television. That was great. You guys, I'm sure, are familiar. In a room, there's always one, always somebody you got to be worried about. That brings me to Bruce Lavelle. All right, Bruce, you and I have been working together now for a long time. You're someone who, while on the campaign trail or in the White House, whatever, you were always someone that gave me a little hope and a little encouragement, even though things were burning down all around us. And I really do appreciate that. We've been friends now for a while, but I just want to say thank you for being here, and tell folks who aren't familiar with you kind of what you do, your area of expertise, and outline kind of what you're seeing as problems in this country.
Thanks. We on?
Yes.
Yep, you're on.
Like
It's
I said,
on.
always one. See what I did?
It's on. Okay, thank you. I'm humbled on that. Things move so fast you don't realize it, but I guess I'm an elder now. In my 60s, how about that? So it does come with that blessing. But yeah, Hogan is right. I'll just make it real brief. I'm a business owner. I've been married 32 years. I'm out of Atlanta. I go back and forth to Florida, my other house. I am close to Donald Trump, our nominee, soon to be 47th president. But Hogan is right. I think he, I have to give kudos back to Hogan about pressure. Working in comms and some of the situations that the nation is going through is a lot of pressure, especially when they call him up and giving him back to him to go on television at the final second and deliver a message to the world. And I was honored and privileged to be a part of that team under Hogan's leadership too, as well as others previously earlier on in my political career. But I think I'd like to say that I've always felt that what my pastor always said, what good is a title or a level of influence if you can't help someone? And there was a prayer today that there was a message to the president about Haiti, and I'll share that with you. And that was the only thing that I imagine to tell you that meant a lot to me, that message got to him in that conversation about how important So sometimes it's not about us, and I've always felt that if you can lift or help someone or encourage someone, that's where your real power is. Anyone can have a title, anyone can have money, anyone, but what good is it if you can't use it for the good? And so that's what's always motivated me to go out and do a lot of media, which is about to go on in about an hour. I talk about this event and others on television. I never wanted to be on television, but it just happened. But to go out and deliver a message, and a message of hope and calmness, like God's got it, don't worry. And I will tell you this, guys, the nation's going through a lot. And to answer Hogan's question, what do I see in the state, is trying to encourage people. I just talked to one of my mentees, Greg Jr. from Morehouse. Say hi, Greg. 24 years old, single, good grades, good everything. Good credit. Yeah. But one of those things is that the state is that bringing people back to the foundation of God in the household. And I can tell you, I'll put my wife, she's on my, this is her for 32 years. And I just had a conversation where that foundation is. Just encouraging people to the power of the marriage. And that's why we're having so much assault on the marriage. It's under tremendous assault and trying to, my God, we had a Supreme Court that, a Supreme Court judge now that was under confirmation through Senator Blackburn. She asked her to define a woman. She said, I'm not a biologist.
Oh my
I'm not making on that, just defining the culture, what we're dealing with, of what the attack is. The enemy, if he can take the gatekeeper out of the home, which is the man, and influence, he can have dominion and destroy. That's essentially what's happening in the nation. So that's my motivation, to stay involved, stay encouraged, and to speak words of it's going to be okay, no matter how strong, crazy it gets. And shout out to my Israeli brothers and sisters. I'm part of the tribe too, because I'm technically my biological mom was a German Jew, my dad was black. So that I check all the boxes. So, which is great. So that's it. I'll yield back to you, sir. Thank you for that kind words.
You're from Michigan? Yes. Okay, I was just there. Beautiful state.
Yes, sir.
Very good. You're also an Army veteran.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm going to clap this.
Oh, right.
Tell the crowd what you do, and then also talk a little bit about, if you can, the importance of making sure we have a strong military.
Oh, wow, that's loaded. My name is Joli. I am a Southern Midwesterner. I state that because I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, but I live in the Great Lakes, transitioning after active military service. I was appointed to my state commission under Governor Snyder. And prior to that, I was a closeted Republican for about 20 years. And I felt the draw of God calling me to come into the public space marketplace and also my community to serve in that capacity and to address the issues of abuse, I call it. One of the mentors or leadership development mentors that I follow is Dr. Miles Monroe, and he states if you don't know the purpose of a thing, you are bound to abuse what it is meant for or meant to do. And so I found working in public policy and working primarily, I have a master's in business, but I've worked in the healthcare industry. And I've also worked in the field of education since COVID due to the teacher shortage. And what I have found in those places, because if you ask me who I am, I will tell you I'm a disruptor. I always ask why. Why is this money going here? Why are you laying off people? Why are you putting people out of housing? And those types of things. And so when I just think about the condition of communities, of the young people that I served, and I'll go back to the COVID. After COVID, we had a teacher shortage, so I left my profession. I worked in corporate America, and I went into the classroom to serve. And 40% of my students were illegal or refugees, and they couldn't read. The other 60% of the students that lived in the United States of America, of that 60%, more than 50% of them could not read. And this is 8th grade. I was teaching 8th grade algebra. So, and this was just 2 years ago. And so I'm saying this to say we have an abuse problem in public policy where we're using schools as an access point to families. And through that pipeline, we have politicians that are abusing, mainly the left, of course, because I like to check Republicans when they get out of order too. I'm a disruptor. But primarily, we have a leftist agenda that is decimating families, and they're doing it through the education pipeline. And so we just have to be mindful of that. Now, our veterans, it upsets me to see illegals coming into this country, and we have military veterans still having lack of housing, My sister-in-law has worked for the VA for over 20 years. She has a doctorate in nurse practitioner work, and she still struggles even within that sphere of influence to change policy on the vets even getting the appropriate medicines for their mental health challenges. And so I am an advocate for sure for veterans, and my focus has been on housing access and still medical access in that arena. So thank you for having
me. Now, Guy, I was looking at your title, the Chief of Mission, Consulate General of Haiti in Miami. Great title. You guys do a lot of stuff. explain to folks out there what that is and what you do on a daily basis and why you're here.
Thank you, Mr. Gitsi. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sajai Semyogila. And I would like to acknowledge also Maji Nicola from the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Thank you for the invitation. So basically, so my name is Dipaswa, and I was a former Haitian Consul General at the Haitian Consulate in Miami, where I got to serve my country for 5 years, and then I became the Minister of Haitians Living Abroad. So I got to serve my country here in the U.S., in Miami, where we have a large Haitian population. And talking about the Haitian population, we are about 2.5 million Haitians living in the United States. And 1.5 million of them are eligible to vote. So that means we have 1.5 million Haitians that can vote. So also we're the 15th largest foreign population in the United States. So my job when I came, and like I said, it was a proud moment for me. I was 30 years old to be serving my country. So it's like being called up for a national team. It was not about money, it was not about salary, but the pride to serve my country. And I have to say from that experience, my first, I could say, to see how to change the image of our country. Because when someone sees Haiti, and I could say, even earlier, I had a lady next to me from Alabama, and she was like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "I'm from Haiti." And she said, "Oh my God, the poverty, how are things in Haiti?" And that's how they always see us. And let me go back to history. I have to remind everyone, we're the first Haitian Black Republic. First Black Republic. And also, we did also assist the U.S. to gain their independence. In the 1770s, we did assist the U.S. in Savannah, Georgia, with the help of the King Henri Christophe. Also, we did help a lot of countries in Latin America. And that's why if there are any Venezuelans, Colombians, we did help Simon Bolivar to help them gain their independence. So, like I said, we're going through a down moment, but at the same time, the reason why we're going through those down moments is because we're not implementing the law and order. And that's very important. In 1986, we had a new constitution which had exclusions, where it says, Tupun ladan, everyone is included, Makut paladan. So there was already exclusion. So today, 38 years later, we're facing different issues, a lot of divisions, and no one is safe. No matter your title. I was part of a government. I was a minister of the president they assassinated on July 7, 2021. He was murdered at his house. And also, I would like to present my sincere condolences to the missionaries, Natalie and David Lloyd from Missouri. They went to help Haiti, and they were burned alive. So this is what we're facing. And going back to law and order, in 1994, we no longer had an army. Now we have about 1,000 soldiers. So we have 15,000 police for a population of 13 million people. The police, they get paid about $200 to $300 per month. And as far as army, and that's going to be our voice for the Republican Party, because who believes in law and order. Because it is unacceptable because the police is there to serve and protect the population.
Yeah.
The army is there to control the borders and to protect and to fight the war and go to war and fight the terrorism. Now, like I said, we barely have an army. So we have a lot to talk about. So I'm gonna pass it to the other.
Activate, that's
Yeah.
it. Well, that's just a little snippet also of what we're up against in this world. And just briefly, real quick, before I turn to you, John, I was just speaking to a group of young people in 10th grade. They were on a trip here in D.C., and they were all Christians coming to learn about government, etc. And what was fascinating was afterwards they come up and they say something like, "Oh, you're inspiring," or whatever. And I said, "No, you don't understand. I didn't even realize there were this many Christians who were young. In this room full of 50 people, I didn't realize, because to hear everyone say it, that didn't even exist anymore. But to listen to your story, to listen to what you've been up against, and what you've seen, and all of you, quite frankly, it is very motivating for me to go, all right, there are people out there who understand Christ. There are people out there who understand this country's greatness can still be ahead. You just have to be in the fight. And I want to thank each of you for being in this fight. Now, John, I'm going to turn to you. You're on the end, and Maggie said you were a late ad, but the best ad. So, introduce yourself to the group. Tell a little bit about who you are, and you know, why you think being influential in the way you have been, you know, sets this country up to be in a better place in the future.
Well, my name is John DeBerry Jr. I'm the son of John DeBerry Sr. I work as the senior advisor for Governor Lee in the state of Tennessee. I served 26 years in the House of Representatives, and I really appreciate being asked to sit on this panel because I think that this is a time when folks of my particular age group and generation have to kind of set the record straight on some things. I grew up in the South, born in Memphis, Tennessee. My father was the president of the NAACP in Crockett County, where we moved from Memphis, where he was transferred after he came out of the Army. I had an opportunity to watch him and those of that particular generation, their courage and their character, their stamina, their vision, their ambition, and their spiritual faithfulness and godliness. My father was a Korean War veteran, and he was one of those that had a flag in his office. I learned the Pledge of Allegiance before I went to the first grade. I understood what the Constitution meant because my father taught us that this was our country. We had a responsibility to this country, and we had a responsibility to understand who we were and whose we were. When Dr. King came to Memphis, and you all know what happened in Memphis, but when Dr. King came to Memphis on several occasions, I had an opportunity to kind of be a fly on the wall in the room as the men and women talked about what was going to happen in Memphis as far as the marches were concerned and many of the events that happened there following the garbage strike. I was there on that stormy night when Dr. King made his last speech. I can remember like it was yesterday and asking my father what was wrong with Dr. King. He didn't look like himself. He didn't sound like himself. His strong baritone voice never cracked, was never broken, and he was always resolute, straight to the point, and very clear about his statements. But he was looking around that night, and it seemed as though there was something on his mind. I talked to my father after we got back to the car, and Dad said that Dr. King had been threatened on that day, and he was told that he was not going to leave Memphis alive. He could have left. There were those who would have shuffled him out of Memphis quietly and secretly, and he would not have faced the assassin's bullet the next day. I remember when we turned the corner there in Memphis, downtown Memphis, and folks Someone introduced me once as a civil rights hero. I said, I was no civil rights hero. I was a scared teenage boy holding on to my daddy's britches. And when we turned the corner, I looked at the look on my dad's face. And it changed the way I looked at myself, that particular conflict, and what was happening in America at that particular time. Those men and women, black and white, of all different religions, they were not walking with their hats in their hands begging America for anything. They were walking with strength, with character, with dignity, with pride, and with courage, and they were demanding, as Americans, what they deserved because of their service to the country, because they paid their taxes. They were American citizens, just like everybody else. Dr. King said in a speech one time, he said, I criticize America because I love her, and I want her to live up to her promises. The men and women I saw on that day were demanding that America lived up to her promises. And what I would like for us to understand is that civil rights movement and what folks want to call civil rights today, totally different. Those men and women faced the billy clubs and the dogs and the tanks and the guns, and they marched forward. I remember them grabbing arms and singing, "Ain't nobody gonna turn me around," and they meant what they said, and nobody turned them around, and they walked toward the danger. I would like for us at this particular time in our history, as we look at the problems we face as Americans, and we've got to find that same pride, that same courage, that same determination that those particular people had at that particular time to change the world. Nelson Mandela said if there had never been an American civil rights movement, what happened in South Africa, what happened in Australia, and what happened in other places where men and women were disenfranchised and demoralized, the changes would never have come. Harriet Tubman made a statement one time, and I think that those of us at this particular juncture in our history need to take an introspective examination of ourselves. We need to ask ourselves who we are and whose we are. Tubman said, I freed 1,000 slaves, and I could have freed 1,000 more had they realized they were slaves. And there's a lot of folks in this country right now who don't realize that they're enslaved to materialism, to worldliness, to those things that we fear. They are enslaved to those things which are against God. And I would like for us as a people at this particular juncture to find that courage that our grandmothers and grandfathers and fathers and mothers of that generation exemplified.
I was just in Missouri giving a speech, and the theme of the conference was Into the Storm. And I thought to myself, what a great way to phrase it, characterize it. How many times have we all been sitting somewhere on a beach or something, you see a storm way off in the distance, and you go, well, I bet they're getting wet. You would never think about running over and getting into the storm, right? But at this point in time, with the challenges we face and the assault from evil and the onslaught against people in this country, you got to get in the fight. You got to get in the storm. That's a great message, and I appreciate that so much. I'm going to run through real quick because I know we're already late on time, but that's okay. We're running fine. Kimberly, you mentioned some of the struggles, not struggles, but one of your issues, things you're trying to highlight is the transgender movement in sports. Can you tell us anything specific that any battle you've had verbally or otherwise with someone trying to say, oh no, this is the right way to go, and you as an athlete say, no, it isn't? You can kind of describe to us, and if not, that's fine. I just want to find out, where do you think this evil comes from? I mean, who in their right mind thinks it's okay for men to play women's sports or vice versa?
Joe Biden.
Okay. I said right mind.
I do want to go back to what I said earlier, so then you can understand where I'm coming from with this and how it makes sense. So I said that the Father protects the Holy Spirit, okay? So this might be new knowledge to you, but God gave me an understanding of who the Holy Spirit is, okay? The Holy Spirit is God's wife. She is the first lady to the Father, okay? You have the Father, the Mother, Jesus Christ, the Son. God said, you are made in our image, not my image, our image. God says you can blaspheme him, you can blaspheme Jesus, but you will have automatic damnation to hell if you blaspheme the Holy Spirit. That means that God puts the Holy Spirit on a pedestal, just like a husband puts his wife on a pedestal. And that's why, as women, we need to be protected, just as the Father protects the Holy Spirit. She is the guide, just as the woman is the guide for the children in the household, okay? She's the one that came down and impregnated Mary to have Jesus. That's how important she is to our Father. And that's how important women are to society. And that's why we need to protect sports. We need to protect safe spaces. I've never had an argument of this. The league that I played for was the LFL, which turned into the X League. We didn't have transgenders. But with what Biden is trying to do now is he's trying to bring transgenders into sports. And that is detrimental to women. One, we lose scholarships, we lose funding, okay? Physically, a man is superior to a woman. We will physically get harmed, especially myself, since I play tackle football. So playing tackle football, I cannot go up against a man. I could take a hit and it's already gonna cost me a concussion when I'm on the field with other women. So just going up with a man that puts on a wig and takes hormones is gonna take me out and injure me. So that's why we definitely need to protect women in sports, not just physically, but also mentally. Having another man with a penis in the locker room showing us his private parts, that's going to affect us mentally and emotionally. Okay? The 14th Amendment says equal protection under the law. This is not just about protection for sex, but it's also protection under religious rights. Okay? So it's super important that we protect women's sports, and I want to say that I want to appreciate all the 22 GOP states that are already suing Joe Biden and his administration. They are leading the fight for us. In the U.S. Department of Education, Title IX was to protect sex-based, which was women. It was to protect women, and now he's coming in to change it to include gender identity, sexual orientation, sexual characteristics. What does that have to do with women? So that's why we need to protect women, Title IX, the 14th Amendment, because our forefathers knew that this was coming. And the federal government is overreaching. This should be a state issue. And nonprofit organizations and other organizations for women's sports should decide. And also school choice. School choice allows you to go to other schools outside your district. It does not limit, right? This is what Trump enacted. And now if a school in a state, let's say California, because we know how California is. Let's say they say, this school has transgender sports and they're allowing women. Now I can take my daughter, because of school choice, and take her to another school that has a policy that transgenders do not come into women's sports. So that's why school trumps school choice, and our fight to keep Title IX to protect women is super important. Thank you.
Ms. Boyd, question for you on the military.
Yes, sir.
And again, to kind of run through this quickly, how pervasive, I guess pervasive, but also poisonous, is the woke movement within the military itself? Did you experience any of this?
Wow.
You're active?
So, I'll share. So kind of twofold. During my active duty military service, I'm gonna date myself. I was in the military during Iraqi freedom. And
No way.
yes, ma'am. Praise the Lord. And during my active duty military service, I got impregnated due to military sexual trauma. So I ended up transitioning actually out of active duty military service. So when you talk about protections of women, me being in the military, that was 30 years ago. For me during that time, I didn't feel safe. Now, I will say this, I wasn't angry at the aspect of service itself because I love my country. During that time, what had happened to me, I knew was wrong, and so I opted to transition out of active duty military service. As a woman in that space, I didn't feel like I had a voice because it was an individual in leadership who had enacted the offense. And so it is, again, important, going back to safe spaces, as Ms. Kimberly just stated, even from a leadership perspective, having a place where women feel safe to go to other, because I had a predominantly male leadership staff, go into that space to say, I don't feel safe, this event happened to me, and I would like to continue my career, and what is the best course of action for me to do so. And I didn't feel like I had a voice. So that was an aspect of it. I did have a female colleague in the military who identified as a lesbian at the time. The challenge in that space is, again, going back to abuse and not feeling safe, because when you enlist in the military, you go through basic training. So you're in basic training and you are in an environment where people think differently than you do, and so it's like, okay, it's, the comfortability of being in that space with someone who has a different ideology from you, and a different belief system is very challenging. And so it's talked about more now, because as I engage with others, we call ourselves Sisters in Arms, veterans who identify within the LGBTQ community, they have been speaking out more themselves about military sexual trauma. And I have honestly come to find that there's a large population of women who transitioned into those spaces because of the trauma and because of the rape and the abuse. And so I'm saying that to say that our military needs, that community needs to be more intentional about having a place to help, from a mental health perspective, those individuals, both male and female. I think I've met a couple of men, I'll be honest with you, who had that experience themselves, and now live within the LGBTQ community because of the offense towards them. The military should be more intentional about providing a space for those who need support in that area to transition to a place of wholeness. If they want to be delivered, or they want the mental health that they need to transition back into wholeness as, I'm a female, I want to be a female, I'm a male, I want to be a male. And so I don't know resource-wise what that looks like, or policy-wise what that looks like. But for those who do not, they have been more emboldened in that place, and they are trying to celebrate it more so. And so I take each sister in arms as they come, but I have spoken honestly more about military sexual trauma than I have in focusing on the LGBTQ issue, because I found that if I meet them where they are, the revelation comes, and then it's easier to transition them back to a place of wholeness where they identify as the person and the gender that God created them to be. If that makes sense.
Again, we move through. I heard someone say on TV the other day, I stole from them too, by the way. I stole the same thing. They said that it turns out it's important to more than just the United States who the president is. So other countries care. It matters. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship between the Haitian government, America, where that is, where it could be, and how important is it for nations that the American president is strong and willing to work with those nations?
I think, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
No
I
problem.
think the choice of the United States president is very important. I said the United States is an important ally for Haiti, and the United States funds a big portion of the police, and that's why I kept on stating the police is important, but the army is as important, because if you have guns, munitions coming within the ports and the airports, because we don't have a strong army, we're going to have those problems. And I can say for Port-au-Prince right now, it's occupied by 80%. 80% of Port-au-Prince is occupied by the gangs. So it's like you cannot go to the National Palace where the president is supposed to be. And the Minister of Justice, the past Minister of Justice, she said the other day, we have lost a lot of territories. So that means that the police cannot control a lot of areas within the capital of the country. So that goes to show you that we have a major problem. There's ongoing talks, and I see there are Kenyan citizens here in the room. I know they're working to send, foreign help to us. I think we've done that in the past, but I think having our own army, because Dominican Republic has 50,000 soldiers, helicopters, they have everything. And whereas us, we're basically 500 active, and we have about 2,000, but 500 active. And from the past 3 months, our airport was shut down in Port-au-Prince. No one could go in Port-au-Prince. And I have to acknowledge State Representative Corey Mills and Governor DeSantis. They had their team on the ground to pick up U.S. citizens, U.S. residents. And like I said, it was not easy. And those guys, like I said, and that's why I was very impressed with the Republican Party. No, a lot of talk, no, they had action. Wow. They went underground and they picked up those people. So those kind of stories, they really, we really appreciate it, and that's why I think it's very important, for the Republican Party to know also that the Army subject is very important to us. Thank you.
Legal immigration obviously is a huge issue in this election cycle. What do you see as some of the biggest challenges should Donald Trump win? We now have 10 million people that come into this country illegally. What do you see as some of the biggest challenges legally to starting that deportation process?
The challenges will be the same deep state, who are going to do everything in their power to stop the president from cleaning up. And the way they're going to be doing it is that using the DOJ, using the systems, the courts, to stop him from doing it. President Trump sent a strong message to the people out, and then also to the immigrants that were just in the shadows, just here, just having a good old time, so to speak, because it's having a good old time when you are working and you are getting cash and you are not participating in fixing those roads with paying the taxes. So you're having a good old time because now you're telling me that you have your home that you built in your country. So what about us? If you take in all the sand from our beaches, I guess sometimes I say beaches and beaches, but when you take all the sand from it and then take it to your country and then ours just erode, and what are we going to do to replenish it? Right now, I said it's a matter of forget your heart and your compassion, because this is you are in an emergency room and you have to stop the bleeding, and then you talk about calling the family and doing all that. Right now, the stop the bleeding would be we have to put a moratorium in asylum claims. I say moratorium because what I say at home is like, just stop it, no more asylum to nobody. But I have to be decent when I am out there because you don't want to continue to be canceled. But what I say is that it has to be a moratorium and asylum. If a person feels they have to claim asylum, they cannot jump all the way from Cuba, then go to Panama, and then Salvador, Guatemala. I don't know my geography too much. But then they go to all those places, and then they come to America saying somebody is trying to kill me. If your house is burning, you're not gonna say, let me go to Nancy Pelosi. No, I don't like the refrigerator there. Maybe I go to the next. You go to the first door. You knock on that door and you hope that somebody opens because it's burning. You don't say, let me go back and get my pajamas because I forget it. So this is not that the people that are coming. People, I'm telling you for a fact. Those stories get to the point that you heard it before. Because you heard it before. It can be that everybody is being persecuted. What is happening is that we are being sending a message. Come here, we give you everything. Eventually, by the time we call you back, it's going to be 2 decades. With Donald Trump, the message was simple. Don't come. Do not. And not, it's not only like, don't come. Don't come. It's not like that. It was exactly, you don't come here, and then if you're here, you're going back. That's why the message was received on the other side. It was just like, I don't know, the guy is kind of crazy. Yeah, if you think we're crazy, we're going to show you crazy and stay there. So that's the only thing that works. Woo!
Bruce, talk about the importance of generational wealth in Black culture. You're a business leader, of course, business education, how that all works.
Thank you, real quick, for those of you all remember the Platinum Plan. Remember when President Trump introduced that in Georgia? I was very privileged to be one of the contributors to the language of that. If you look at that document on the left side of the paragraph, it talks about generational wealth. So one of the things that motivated me to serve President Trump is historic by dating myself. I go back to Ronald Reagan's But more so than anything, I remember back in 2015, Matthew Scott and Bob Davis across the country, etc. It was a conversation to avoid retail commodity structure and Black culture. Myself, my wife, and the growing company, 29 years, 18 this year. But we also, when we look at other cultures, Latino culture, Korean culture, Chinese culture, if you notice, for New York and to other places of big mass cities, you see there's a culture of that particular culture owning gas stations, grocery stores who are growing this. But when you go into black culture, it's generally owned by other cultures. Okay? So that's what motivated me to take an appointment. I was appointed by the president to the White House from the southeast of the United States. And the southeast of the United States is the most culturally diverse area of the country. Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, Kentucky. So that's the most diverse, especially Florida and Georgia. And so we talk about all the names and the power structure that goes on, but we like, okay, so what are we talking about? We're talking wealth structure. We know historically black culture, all the way from slavery, all the way to the times have been interrupted, let's say, in our generational wealth chain. And just clarity, generational wealth is not just only into like money. It's not. Look at our homes. I was fortunate. I'm born in 1964. His brother on the end could testify to that with the elders on the board. Is that we had 80+% of us brown kids, black kids, whatever you want to put a category in that, had a mother and father. And so now we're less than, fair to say, 20%. So that generational wealth stems in the office of the home, but more so our wealth structure is interrupted. So I know this for a fact, and I talked about this with the president. Actually, I talked to one of his advisors today about that messaging when you're talking about black culture. You see it trending aggressively towards President Trump on the phone. Agree, Hogan? And so I said, listen, and not just say what the heck you have to lose and the roads and this and that. Yes, we spent billions of dollars overseas, but imagine what $2 billion does for certain inner city communities. Imagine what that does for roads. Imagine what that does for fixing schools, air conditioning systems. So I said, let's push that back out there and promote the generational wealth of owning business and dream to own things, car lots, everything that you see as a consumer that you consume. Think about, I can build this, I can own it. That's how my wife and I started. So that's what motivated me to serve President Trump and take that appointment, as we say, take a leave from the business and lose money, but go serve. And that's essentially what you do.
Yeah.
Right? Oh,
You do.
So, and that's an honor to do that. And earlier when I opened, I said, what good is the leadership role or your wealth that you accumulate if you can't share the knowledge or encourage what you have to someone else? So I yield back. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Okay. I had two more. What do you do? You tell me. I was going to wrap real quick. Okay, we got to go. We got a thing to go to real quick, Doctor. Tell me why you think the government was so keen on keeping voices like yours silent.
You have 2 days, but
Yeah. 2 minutes.
I believe that we are in a battle. We are in a battle. We're in a spiritual battle that has been packaged like medicine, finances, and what they are doing to our schools, what they are doing to immigration. We're in a battle, and the basic battle that we're in, like I said in 2020, that COVID was a Trojan horse for the vaccine. And the vaccine was a Trojan horse for transhumanism and human 2.0, basically. So the battle that we were in was not trying to treat people or trying to make people feel better. It was trying to kill people, scare the living daylight out of others, so that everybody can have a job in their hand. And right now, we are at the cusp of that again with bird flu, and that's what I'm telling everybody, we need to be prepared for that. So the government did not want to the government had no intention of helping people be healthy. And for the past 4 years, I've actually transitioned from just being a doctor that took care of patients and believe whatever Big Pharma said, to stopping to look back about, what, we need to get people healthy, we need to get people thinking about their health, and realizing that we cannot trust all these three-letter agencies anymore. We have to sit down and start looking at helping our people. That's actually what kind of transitioned me. So the government was trying to shut my voice because I wanted to help people. Until today, Like a week or so ago, the Attorney General of New York said that we're going to ban doctors from prescribing ivermectin. That's why I tell everybody, get ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine in your medicine cabinet today before something crazy happens. So the government has no intention of keeping you healthy, even like with cancer treatments, with our food and everything. Because if you're healthy, then you cannot. Then Big Pharma loses money. So many, if you look at all our television programs, you look at everything, you always see sponsored by Pfizer, sponsored by McNeil, sponsored by that. So a lot of our governmental officials have been bought by Big Pharma, so they don't promote what's not healthy for you. Even in cancer treatments, they give you chemotherapy and everything that will kill you, like really fast. And doctors have been bribed. Doctors have been hoodwinked and so there's going to be a lot that they need to do to really clean up the medical industrial complex, and I don't know when it can be clean. So all I tell people right now is that be prepared for yourself, be prepared for your family, make sure that you stock up medicine that you will need, because bird flu is coming, for real. Just Google it, it is coming right now. We're like at the cusp of it, just like we're at the cusp of COVID. And I don't want people to sit around and wait and then something crazy happens. So that is why we're here just screaming around, just get up, be prepared.
The question, so good question about why the government do that. You just answered, and it's one word, money. That's why they did it. Thank you. Listen, I know we have to wrap, but just real quick, if I may, as I close, everyone did just such an amazing job. When I was in the White House, I remember press people used to come to my office all the time, and they would say, you know, you used to work for Mike Huckabee, a good Christian man. You work for Rick Santorum, a Catholic. How in the world can you work for Donald Trump? He's no Christian leader. And I said, boy, leave it to the press to get it wrong every time. I said, guys, listen. First of all, he is a Christian. Second of all, I am so angry at the thought of you telling me I can't work for someone just because we may not believe in everything being the same. I demand the people that I vote for, that I work with, believe like I do, that the Bible is inspired, it is inerrant, it is the infallible word of the Lord. What I do demand of my politicians is that they protect my right to believe. Did that. If he's elected, he's going to do it again. And I'll just close with this. I was born in a very small town in North Carolina, Gastonia. Many of you have ever heard of it. I lived in a smaller town. I was reared in El Dorado, Arkansas. I had a great relationship with my father. My parents got divorced when I was 5. I was raised by a single woman. I made nobody to go. I should not be able to walk by the White House and go, wow, isn't that pretty? Folks, I got to walk into that building every single day. I would go into those gates and I'd walk by and see the Secret Service, who I was friends with, and wave to them. And I'd go down that world famous colonnade, you know, that colonnade with big white columns, and it's right there by the Rose Garden. And I would sit there and I'd think about Reagan walking by in his tan suit. And I'd touch him and just feel the material that it's made from. And I thought, how am I doing this? And I would go right up into my office, and my office was from here to that wall of Donald Trump's office. I got to walk into his office, the Oval Office, every single day I was there. Stand right in front of the Resolute desk and give advice to the President of the United States. Now, he never took any of them. But that is not the point. Only in this country would someone like me get together. I don't have the last name Bush, Cheney, or Clinton. Thank God I'm not Clinton. But no Kennedy. I'm not the silver spoon political family. And right before I left the White House, I remember you could go on the computer system and you could see things you had done in the White House. And I remember I was looking on the computer system in the first year. I've been on Air Force One over 100 times. I've been on that helicopter Marine One as it leaves the South Lawn and goes to Joint Base Andrews. I've been in the Beast, the big limousine with Donald Trump. I remember Melania called me up and she wanted me to go on the campaign trail with her. And she said, hold on, you know she talks. She's amazing. I went out with Ivanka Trump, same thing. I don't say that to say I'm great. I say that to say America is great and God is great. things in this country to impact culture in so many ways, and so do all of you. And I know that this country's best days are ahead, and there's a reason other nations walk around carrying our American flag, chanting things like liberty and freedom through their streets, because they know this country is still a beacon of hope and of strength and of goodness and of democracy all over the world. And I am so confident and so inspired by the people on this dais and the people in this room, because if you get involved, it will remain that way for generations to come. God bless you all very much.
I want to say one thing. I know he wrapped up. I didn't end with this. I had my daughter. I wanted to say that. I did not end with that. I just want to know, because you touch on the issue of pro-life or abortion in this space, but I had my daughter. I left, but I had my daughter. So I wanted to just let you know. I didn't want to leave you with that cliffhanger. And so she's healthy and well. She's 30 years old, but I had my daughter.
Bueno, señores de PAIRO TV, estamos dándole casi el cierre a nuestro programa, a nuestra cobertura de esos 4 días en Road to Majority, Fe y Freedom, la coalición de fe y de libertad y familia. Y aquí tenemos, señores, a una bellísima representación. Su nombre es Jessica, pero esperen, el apellido es Q. Jessica, I'm just telling them, you know, your name, that is very cute. So tell us, Jessica, why are you here, and if this is the first time you participate in Faith and Freedom?
This is my second year coming, but this is definitely my first time attending the 7 Mountains of Influence panel. It was incredible, highly recommended, definitely the highlight of my week.
And where you were born in the United States, right?
I was born in Hong Kong, and I immigrated legally with my mom to this country when I was 11.
How long you think, maybe you don't have an idea when you were little, how long you think you have to wait to come to the United States through the big door? I call it the big door too.
Definitely years, and a lot of money, a lot of paperwork, and knowing where to look for the right resources.
And then when you see that right now we have these people that they come and try to knock down the door and say, well, I have to go before everybody else because I deserve it. What comes through your mind?
A lot of resentment, anger, frustration. It's a total slap in the face, and I can speak on behalf of most immigrants, legal immigrants in this country, especially Asians. There's definitely a huge problem with illegal Asian immigration into the United States. There's actually, I was telling you earlier, there's a whole industry of these individuals coming over and paying the coyotes for these services. And, you know, obviously there are folks like my family that have chosen to wait in line and go through the proper means, because our first act in this country should not be an illegal one.
And then when people tell you, oh, well, Jessica, you were an immigrant too. Why you are so against the immigration? What would you say?
There is absolutely a difference between legal and illegal immigration, and people who tell you that there's no difference are intellectually dishonest and selfish. There is a lot of, I think folks who choose to come to this country illegally is a very self-selective group of people who oftentimes have already committed crimes and other misdemeanors in their home country. And those are the folks that we absolutely need to vet and qualify before allowing them to come to this country.
Ajá, you see that? No es que yo lo estoy buscando para hacer lo que da mal a ustedes, así mismo. No es solamente que hay que llegar aquí, no, es que yo me lo merezco todo. Ustedes vienen de 47 países. ¿Cómo vienen de la China y me van a decir que vienen de lo más bonito y vienen a violar la ley? Señores, de Hong Kong, vino aquí a los 11 años y esperó su tiempo.
Add one more thing. I think there are a lot of immigrants, whether legal or illegal, choose to come to this country because of the freedom and the wealth of opportunities that this country affords. However, I also recognize that there are folks who absolutely refuse to assimilate, and so for some reason assimilation became a bad word. in our modern day and age, which it absolutely baffles me. I think assimilation means that you are now accepting the fact that you are part of this new society that you've chosen to be part of, and that you have to conform with some of the cultural practices, the norms that we have here, including our law and order. So I think for folks who absolutely resist to assimilate and embrace our local culture and traditions and law, as my mom would like to say, go back to China.
Oh, very good, very good. Thank you very much, Miss Jessica. So we will see you next year because we are gonna be coming next year.
And you were wonderful on the panel. You were one of my favorite panelists.
Ahead,
And yes, she was great. She was really funny, really captivating, and everyone loved you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Bueno, señores, para el PAIRO TV, muchas gracias. Y bueno, señores, tenemos a una persona especialísima here. Tenemos a Purnima. Sí, Purnima. Ella está corriendo para una posición en Wisconsin. Ella está corriendo para una posición en Wisconsin. ¿Tú sabes qué está pasando en Wisconsin? En Milwaukee, we're going to have el GOP selection de Donald Trump va a ser en Milwaukee en unas cuantas semanas. Señores, no se preocupen que tal vez vamos a visitarla a ella ya. Pero tell us a little bit where you come from and why are you here?
My name is Purnima Nath and I'm a legal immigrant from India. 24 years ago, I came to United States and landed in Milwaukee. I didn't know what the place was. I didn't know what the state was, but with a degree at a job, and I was basically one of the high-skilled labor to this country. And we came legally to this country. There was no dream that I have to come to United States, but even if I didn't get an opportunity, I probably wouldn't have tried for it. But there was the whole aspect in this country that is happening. People are given voter registration card at the border, and they are crossing the border, coming illegally, getting free housing, free welfare, free hotel accommodation, 5-star hotel accommodation, and free money, free cards, free $1,000 phone. This boggles my mind. Where was my red carpet when I came over here? Nobody gave me a red carpet. But my three major issues primarily is national security, border security, and immigration. And I speak from that perspective that I'm a legal immigrant myself. I'm not an anti-immigration, but I want to make sure the legal immigration is legal, cautious, and controlled. You want to know who comes to the country. You want to know who's in your backyard. You want to know who the terrorists are not coming over here and blowing us up. That's exactly what's happening. Crimes have gone up. Corruptions are going up because of the poor political choices, and obviously it's hurting the inner cities. Milwaukee is hurting for generation. It's Democrat ruled. It has been ruled by Democrat political party for centuries. Even particularly this position that I'm running for, congressional position, Wisconsin District 4, which is mostly Milwaukee, is actually this congressional seat has been under Democrat rule since 1949. And I tell them, okay, what are you going to lose if you are actually going to try a different path, a little bit of time, and see whether we actually do something good for the society or not. They are always asking for, can we get a little bit more money? Can we get reparation and things like that? Milwaukee Public School, if you look at it from an education perspective, they have ample of money. During COVID, they got $700 million funding. We don't know where the money is. And then also recently in April election, they actually passed $252 million referendum. And every few years they are passing this millions of dollars referendum. There is never enough the money, but the percentage of people, the peoples are actually academic excellence. If you look at it, reading proficiency, writing proficiency, and English language proficiency has gone down to 6%, and math has gone down to 3%. You remember yesterday, Senator Josh Hawley was saying that he wanted Christian CEOs. I was standing there and actually smiling. How are you going to put a Christian CEOs in America where 50 top corporations are run by Indian CEOs, and they're all Hindu named CEOs, for God's sake, and on top of it, Hindus have never you're hired based on faith basis, and how are you going to compete with 3% math proficiency and 6% reading proficiency with these guys who are coming with massive amount of academic excellence?
But is this the first time you run it?
Oh no, I actually ran for local offices before. I ran for state assembly in the last election cycle, and then previously I've run for county board and Milwaukee County executive. But every election that I've run as a conservative, I've run as a Trump supporter from the beginning. And in every election, even non-partisan election, I have not hidden my identity. Even though Milwaukee is heavily blue, far left, blue progressive area. So I've run these elections exactly as I am and what my faith is, what my ideology is. And they have called me all sorts of names. They have called me conspiracy theorist. The Milwaukee Journal Sentinel has a beautiful memorabilia for me as well. So you can take a look at it. But it doesn't bother me because I think truth hurts sometimes. The truth actually is uncomfortable for people. But I have no problem being a conservative in a heavily Democrat area. I have no problem being a Hindu in a Christian country. As long as I have that religious freedom, as long as I can stay exactly who I am and practice who I am. If Christianity ever comes in my life or conversion, it will happen automatically. Nobody has to enforce on me. So that's who I am, and that's exactly what I talk about from a perspective of development. You see all the money is going around the world, billions of dollars going around the world, but Milwaukee's children, Milwaukee's people are hurting. Or you go around the inner city roads, you'll see boarded up houses, you will see tiny shops almost falling apart. Things like that is actually true, and I'm in shock because I'm in the best country in the world, and it's the best country in the world with lots of money, with a $28 trillion GDP, and we have poverty in our own community.
And how can people find?
nathpurnima.com is my website, and my Twitter is @Purnimanath.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you. I mean, you talk more than me, girl. It's like if we are in a panel together, it's like, give me that, wait. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You were brilliant. I loved your thought process. That's why I told you that as an immigration lawyer, you understand. You are yourself an immigrant. I'm an immigrant. We're not immigrant haters. We want people to come here. We want to contribute to the country, and we want to actually make our country better.
And Trump loved people from India because he likes by meritocracy.
Yes.
So he is opening up for Indian to come to the United States with the degrees, and people are calling that to be racist because he wants the smart people, not the dumb people. Who wouldn't?
Right, exactly. If I was in Trump's position, would I not want to secure my border? Would I not want to secure my country? Would I not want a prosperous country for myself? And I'm not selfish for wanting that. And nationalists have a bad reputation. But I don't think there is any bad reputation. And actually, in fact, I have no preference whether we want a nation or not. If that is the case, then we should abolish all the 200 nations. Nobody is asking that question. Nobody wants an answer to that question. There are 200 nations. Everybody has a border. America sends billions of dollars to protect the border of Jordan and Egypt. I'm sorry, and our borders are not protected. So this hypocrisy that is happening through political agenda is destructive and is divisive, vindictive. Let's stop it. And I think from the right side, from a conservative side, we can make a significant difference in our inner city, in our inner community, where actually people are hurting. And my community, 31.4% black community, they're constantly asking, can we get more money? No, that's a bad way of the brainwashing that has happened over the years, and that's what we want to change. And if I don't run in this heavily blue district, which has been run for in a certain way by Democrat, there is no conversation that is happening. This is the only way I can have a conversation and bring the message to the people, and that's my primary goal.
Thank you very much. Bueno, señores, por PAIRO TV, aquí tienen otra rendición. Si quieren diversidad de pensamiento, ya lo tienen. Así es que nos vemos muy pronto. Where do you live?
I live on the Upper West Side of Manhattan in New York City.
Oh, that's heavy over there.
Yeah. It's but we're turning New York red.
That's good. That's good. Are you gonna be attending the event on July 11 outside the courthouse, the sentencing, Donald Trump sentencing?
Yep, absolutely. It's very close to where I live, so it's very convenient for me to go there and get there. So yeah, I'm definitely planning to be there. That's yeah. And
So you came from New York. You drove or you flew?
I took the train.
Okay, because it's close by. How long in train?
Like 3 hours, 44 minutes approximately, something like that. Yeah.
Well, since you're not driving, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a car, you know, like you live in New York, you don't need a car. So it's very, yeah.
So you think New York is turning blue? It's turning red.
Yes, I mean, the latest polls show that Trump is only 6 points behind Biden in New York. He did a rally in the South Bronx. I think he's planning to do a rally either in Madison Square Garden or Yankee Stadium. He, I have a friend here, Chris Wright, who started an organization called Conservative Republicans of America, otherwise known as CRA, and I'm part of that too. And you know, like, and our main goal and mission is to turn New York red. And you know, like a lot of polls are saying that Trump can either win 49 or all 50 states.
That would be great. Remember, we're gonna pull a Reagan again.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like Reagan won 49 states, won every state except Minnesota.
Yeah, we're gonna give Joe Biden Delaware.
Yeah, like I don't even think Biden is winning Delaware. I mean, that's yeah, I mean
And all 49 states for Trump. And what is your name?
Ariel Cohen, Ariel Koha, N as in Nancy, E as in Edward. You can actually see it right here. And I also want to show you, I'm going to put this down for a minute.
El señor nos va a enseñar algo. Nos jodimos.
1 second. I got a Trump yarmulke.
You're Jewish.
Yes, I am Jewish, and this is what Orthodox Jewish men wear, or like, you know, like a religious Jewish men. And so I got this at the West Side Judaica store on the Upper West Side of Manhattan for like $15.
And then you walk around New York with a yarmulke.
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of hate from people.
No, as a matter of fact, a lot of people like it and love it. You know, they're coming up to me, giving me high fives, saying, yeah.
They even ask you, where do you get it? Where do you get it? I want one.
Yes, yeah. That they even like wanting one from me. I told them this is the only one I got, you know, now. But I sent them to the West Side Judaica store or like, you know, like any other places, you know, to get it. And you know, I mean, sometimes I have extras. On the past, I had extras, and then I'll, you know, like either like give them out or sell them or something. But you know, this is, you know, like just like the hat too. You know, it's
almost right.
Yeah.
And you know, it's good. It's good because we really appreciate that you take the time to talk to us. It's excellent, and we'll see you around. Thank you very much.
We plan to be at the Republican National Convention.
In Milwaukee.
Yep, in Milwaukee.
Yes, we'll be there.
Yep.
Thank you.
And, you know, I'm probably going to be volunteering and, you know, doing some other things and other stuff. And I can get you involved in a lot of things in New York and have some other friends in the...
Thank you.
I'm one of the Republican district leaders in the 67th Assembly District on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and I'm also on the New York County Republican Committee. New York, and I'm a member of Jews for Trump and Jews Choose Trump, and the Young Jewish Conservatives organization also, which was a part of CPAC, or was founded at CPAC or stuff like that. And now we're national, and we have chapters in New York and Washington and many other different cities and states across the whole United States. And it's called the Young Jewish Conservatives.
That's great. Señores, a ustedes están viendo lo que es querer envolverse, querer ser parte de la solución, no solamente quejarse por el problema y esperar que le den. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And por Al PAIRO TV.
I know in Spanish, yeah. It's one of the few words of Spanish that I know. So,
Thank you. Okay. Bueno, por Al PAIRO TV, aquí tenemos otra de las representaciones que estuvieron presentes en este Road to Majority Conference. No se vayan, hay más. Now, tell us, what is your name and why are you here?
My name is Derek Gibson. I come to the Faith and Freedom every year. I'm a Christian guy, so I come in to mingle with the people.
And then where do you live? What is your state?
I'm from Forest Hills, New York. That is Queens.
And I understand you're running for a position?
I'm running for New York State Governor. I ran before and I got disqualified because I wouldn't turn in the signature that I gathered. So I sat quiet for about a year and a half, and I got a master plan so I can take the governor's seat this time and return New York back to common sense policies of the great state of New York and New York City.
What do you think? Why New York has been has a history of the black people just going for the Democrats? Even though the Democrats are not keeping up their promises, they don't even make promises anymore. They know the blacks are going to vote for them. What's happening there?
Well, I wouldn't say specifically just the black people in New York. New York is a very diverse place. It's mixing as black people come from everywhere else but America. So when they come here, they get swayed by the handouts that the Democrats tend to give them, so they'll vote for Democrats until you approach them and let them know this is how America works, this is how it should be, and you have an opportunity to work and do this and that. And the Democratic Party just want to hold you down, dingle a cheese in front of your face like a hamster in a cage, and you never get a chance at a piece of the American dream. But blacks all over America are waking up, man. About 95% of us were voting Democrats, for the exception of myself. I was raised in a Christian conservative home, and I never voted. Well, now I take that back. I did vote Democrat. I voted for Bill Clinton, which did a great job with the economy and so forth. And I did vote across the line for Barack Obama the first time, even though I know he was going to be useless. I voted for him because I voted on skin color for once in my life.
You know that I voted for Obama, but I voted for Obama because I don't know, everybody, it's like everybody was in fashion, was doing. But then after that, I say I'm not voting for no person for skin color and no gender either.
Right. No gender. Democrats think it's 1,000 genders. Democrats tell us that our little boys can cut their balls off and become a woman. They tell me as a grown man I can get pregnant, birth a baby. I mean, all the nonsense they spearing out, it's ridiculous. Got men and women sports. They're trying to cancel the beautiful women out as yourself. And we're not real men, not going for that, okay? We just not standing for that. So.
We know that. We, the black people, they really know what is a good-looking woman. None of this mixed up like Frankenstein.
Right, that's right. So, I do the Black Pictures for Trump rallies all over the country, and our goal, we reach the younger generation, which is a very supportive of President Donald Trump, even though they don't take part in the political arena. So we're getting them involved, registering to vote. If they got criminal records, we are cleaning their records, sealing records, petitioning the parole board in the states that it have to be done for that, so they can get their rights back and vote. So this is what we're doing, and we're bringing them to the Republican Party because this is where the black community came from. And we're going back to the Republican Party, not just to say we're in the Republican Party, but to actually work within the Republican Party to slate our candidates for office so we can get our agenda pushed through, because we're sick and tired of the Democratic Party playing race.
I guess this is our time to stop. They have opened the doors for the dinner. So that's when we say, sayonara. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and have a blessed evening.
We will where can people follow you?
I'm on Twitter at Gibson for New York State and all across the social media on the same name.
Okay, we'll be following. Thank you.